I'm still in school.
I'm still pregnant.
And you're here with us on A Teachers Who Talk Crime
Podcast.
Ciao. Ciao.
It's rough.
It's been the longest school year I've ever school yeared.
Yeah. It's been the longest pregnancy I've ever pregnancyed.
100%. 100%. But I will say that pickleball is still pickleballing, okay?
Still love that for you.
It's so much fun. I need to join a league this summer. They're opening in Newark, whatever you want to call it. I don't really know how to pronounce it. They're opening this place called the Pickler, and it's like a big pickleball place, and you can get a membership and like play and stuff like that. So I think it's supposed to open this summer. So I just have to see the opening date and then just like wait till after the hype dies down and then go in there. Because I feel like at first it's gonna be like crowded and crazy. But there aren't a lot of, there's a lot of like parks and stuff that have the pickleball lines on the tennis court, so you could play there, but I don't really have anyone to play with. So I think joining a league would really just get me in there because I really want to learn
kind of like
how
Whitney's volleyball league.
Yes, exactly correct. So I want to learn how to, what do they call it? Dink the ball. I need to learn how to do that. I know how to get some spin on my serves and stuff like that. I have a lot of work to do, but I'm just having a good time. I
thought it was like badminton. Is it not like badminton?
No. It's like tennis, but smaller.
Okay.
Like you're essentially using like ping pong battles, but they're more like how the ping pong ones are like circle. These ones are more like roundy square. And then use a wiffle ball.
Oh. I still really think this is something James and I could get into.
Nah, it's a good time.
I really do.
It's a good time.
I think we were supposed to get a couple activity.
We were supposed to get on a call for our Wyoming trip the other day. And I was like, yeah, pickleball's running long. I've never played pickleball for over 2 hours before, but I played for probably about close to 3 hours.
Yeah, you said running late. We were like, oh, okay, like 10 minutes. And then an hour and 10 minutes later, she finally answered the phone.
I sure did. Because I was just having a good time.
Yeah.
We're having a good time. And I have not been going to the gym as diligently as I have been in the past. So I need to get back on that. I need to get my life together.
Pickleball's good cardio.
It is. The other day, that Friday, I burned probably like 1,300 calories in that pickleball session. Yeah. So
wow, I can't even walk up the stairs without getting out of breath. So kudos to you.
You have a whole entire human in your body. So
I will say that Ashton is the real MVP around here. Ashton is the trooper. Now, she does not understand why we're stopping halfway up the stairs. But homegirl stops with me and she looks up at me and she's like, "You good?
What are we taking a break?"
Okay, because we both can't really fit on this stair, Mom. I'm confused.
Oh.
And yeah, so she's been walking at my pace down the stairs, and then she stops with me halfway up the stairs when I need a break. And she's just like, I don't know what we're doing, but we're doing it. And Mom says we have to slow down.
What a sweet girl. She's a sweet girl.
And then Aiko's like, pew!
We know Aiko. Yeah. She's our special friend.
She is. I told her today, I said, we had gone and gotten groceries. So we're like coming in with all the groceries. So we put them outside so they just don't get under our feet and stuff. And she's like standing at the door barking as if she's in like absolute distress. And I was like, this is why you're single. This is why no one wants to date you. This is why you've never had sex before, because you are annoying. I just had to lay it on her.
Trying to mate her?
Real thick. He was. And I was like, nobody wants to date her.
She's irking.
She is. She get all up in your personal space.
I'm crying.
Ashton had to check her like twice today. She's like, get out of my space.
And Bella just still kicking?
Bella did.
I'm sorry, what?
You didn't know that? It's not Buddy.
Wait.
It's not Buddy.
Wait. When did
Bella
this
died. She died.
The way that she was just Bella dead. Like I thought she was playing.
Nope.
Oh
She
my
with
God, when
Jesus.
did she die?
I
Did
was
you
still
say
in
a
school.
real long time ago?
Yeah, I was still in school.
Brooke, you never told me.
James came home crying, and I was like, I don't know really what to.
Did he find her?
Well, yeah, and then he got her cremated.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, Bella. Dang, I'm
Yeah.
just stuck on Bella dead.
She is. I mean, she in heaven.
Oh my gosh, that's sweet baby.
Yeah, she had like a
Oh.
really bad, like James saw her have a seizure in the middle of the floor, and like she like her like tongue was hanging out, and she was seasoned, and then she like used the bathroom on herself, and she couldn't get up. Yeah, and it was
Dang.
Yeah.
Dang.
So
R.I.P. to Bella girl.
Bella girl.
Dang.
Mhm.
I was not expecting that. I'm still kind of shocked. I'm not even gonna front. I'm still like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So we
Okay,
have
Bella
Iko
girl.
and Ashton.
Okay, dang.
We
We
also
were
think
still
Iko
in
might be a
school.
lesbian, though.
I mean, it is Pride Month, so rock out, girl.
Yeah. I mean, I think she is.
Okay.
And I told James, I was like, I think Iko's a lesbian. And he was like, what
Is
proof
it
do you
because
have?
she's just around Ashton and she don't ever be around any boys?
No, she's been around boys, but she doesn't like them, and she only humps her bed. So we have started naming her bed, and she just went through Tanya. She like tore Tanya to pieces. So we got her a new bed, and this one's name is Tracy. Yeah.
But why?
And she humps in private. Like she comes upstairs when she knows like we're downstairs, and she like humps in private, and then we have to like, and when you catch her, she gets real embarrassed, and she like ducks her head, and she's like, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Our dogs are really special.
Okay. She's just destroying the beds, huh?
She does. Yeah.
Dang, girl. She's just really getting in there.
I know. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's a life update.
That was definitely an update. I'm still shooketh. I'm still in shock.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man, not Bella girl. And not Iko destroying Tracy.
Yeah. Well, she's
And
already
now she's
destroyed
Tanya.
Tanya. Yeah.
Tanya. Okay. All right. Hopefully Tanya, you know, she's built like a
Going
stallion.
strong. Yeah.
You know?
She's a $30 bed. You would think that they would last longer.
Yeah, I mean, hey, she said, I need that bed.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
She said, I need to do what I need to do when I do it. Okay.
Yep. We'll hear going up the stairs. And
Not
James
her trying
like,
to be a secret squirrel when she's as big as a horse.
I know. And James like, I go, and you should come downstairs like this.
Oh, okay, Dad. I'll see
caught
Tracy
me.
later.
You caught me. Dang. Thought y'all were busy.
Oh, not busy enough.
Crazy.
Oh man, that's wild. All right. Well, let's just shift gears just a little bit.
Yeah. Let's do that.
And get into our Estudiante Estrella.
Okay. Our star student is in the form of an email, which is totally fine. You know, guys, that does not bother us. Just make sure, obviously, if you want to send us an email, that you label it that this is a review, and we will use it as such. So our star student today is Crystal.
Crystal.
Yeah. And it is 5 stars. Yes. And Crystal writes, of course, it's a 5-star review, ladies. I sent in a case suggestion and didn't even leave a review, and I adore you two. Forgive me. soy estúpida.
Soy estúpida.
Oh, forgive me, soy estúpida. I'm assuming she says
I am stupid.
that. Okay, cool.
And you're not.
Oh, you're
You're not.
not at all.
Mm-mm.
Then she says, anywho, listening to you two is really just sitting with your friends chatting about things. I love the banter. You two talk in the beginning because most of the time it's insightful coming from someone who isn't a teacher and can say they were just passed along in school. School wasn't for me, but I feel like if I ever had teachers like you two at any point in my school career, something would have been different. I hope you two continue to make more and more episodes as I will be listening right along for however much longer y'all go. Much love and support from Michigan, Crystal.
Okay, Crystal girl. Okay, Crystal, you're surely a gem. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So as per you, Crystal
coming to us with case suggestions and reviews.
You know, she's just doing everything. She's a jack of all trades. We love her.
I know.
Yes, Crystal girl. So as always, I thank you so much for your review. This gold stars for you. Bing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we got a true crime case today. Ashleigh's bringing us a case. Yeah. And we're going to jump into it. So sit down, shut up. The murder is about to begin.
Ahora. Today's lesson is a little different than the cases we typically cover here on Teachers Talk Crime. So, R.M. Staniforth, or as he prefers to be called, Mr. S, was a really, really good private investigator. So much so that he was taking a lot of high-profile paying jobs as a freelance private investigator. He even solved a number of high-profile cold cases as well. Mr. S had to retire from being a PI due to a work-related attack and then started a real crime blog and podcast, okay? So in recent years, he's received anonymous handwritten manuscripts in the mail that detail incredibly heinous acts of psychopathy.
So people just like send him stuff in like to get it off their chest?
Yeah, just like manuscripts of like things that they've done that, you know, are a little sus, okay?
Oh my God.
None of these have come with a return address. However, the first one that Mr. S ever received had the following note on the outside of the envelope. As my glorious life nears its end, my only regret is that nobody knows my greatest works and accomplishments. So today on Teachers Talk Crime, I will be reading the manuscript that Mr. S received in the mail titled High School. And based on what Mr. S reported, he believes that this is the journal of a high school student psychopath.
I mean, okay. Does he? Okay. I wouldn't expect return addresses because I'd be like 1-800-911.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about being nuts, you know, talking about the things that you did, you know, I wouldn't send it back either. So...
No. Also, I've always thought being a private investigator would be really cool.
Yeah, it's like you're a professional stalker or something.
I know. Yeah.
Oh, so before
I like the Cheaters show.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff. Before I begin, I will be reading directly from the manuscript, so it will be read in a first-person point of view, okay? So I just wanted to make that note real quick, okay? So let us jump right in, okay? The title is High School. It was my third week at my new high school. I'm used to being the new guy, so it doesn't bother me much. I'm an introvert anyway. I grew up in the foster care system and had never stayed in one place for too long. I wasn't known as the problem child. I just never bonded with any of my other foster parents. They could tell, and my lack of attachment always bothered them. They could send me off and hope that their next foster child would give them the happiness they were looking for. The living conditions were usually substandard anyway. Many foster parents needed to be needed, so I never took it personally. I never felt like I needed anybody. It's whatever. I was in my junior year anyway, and in just under 2 years, I'll be liberated from the system and on my own. College will College will be all but free as they practically beg us foster kids to go to college. Nonetheless, I was 3 weeks into classes at my new school, and I already made an enemy, Jake Pearson.
So you can get out of the foster system at 18, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's when you can exit the system.
Because you're technically an adult.
An adult, okay.
Mm-hmm. In this suburban high school, these idiots were just like the kids at every other school. A bunch of dudes trying way too hard to look cool and tough to the gaggles of girls who were trying way too hard to stand out by ironically doing exactly the same thing that every other girl was doing. These hallways were filled with drama this, drama that. Look at these $100 shoes daddy bought me. People are so drab. The day I arrived, I knew that Jake would be a problem. Jake was somehow the single most cliche high school jock I'd ever seen, including in the movies. He was tall, built, a ladies' man, and had rich parents. The most standout feature about Jake was his incessant need to act overly tough at all times. I was never sure if he was compensating for a tiny ego or he just had a really large ego. Maybe the true answer was somewhere in both of those options. Either way, I hated this kid so bad that just the sound of his goddamn voice made me want to move to the next foster home.
So Jake basically peaked in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all thinking of that one guy.
Yeah, he's probably still wearing his, little jacket with the little
He works
S
at
on
a
it.
car lot. He works at a car lot.
Selling
he sells
cars,
used
like
cars. Yeah.
Talking about his high school glory days.
Yeah. Remember that touchdown pass in
I did back in 1996.
I would have won that state championship if it hadn't have been for.
I want to redo.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I was minding my own business one fateful morning when some pathetic nerd had the misfortune to lightly bump into Jake. Commotion stirred as students all around the hallway gathered to laugh at Jake's beratement of the scrawny nerd. Did you just push me, Tiny? He said way too loud, garnering the attention of the other idiots. The terrifying scrawny kid stammered and garbled apologies. I'm sorry. It was Axa. But before he could finish his stutters, Jake smacked the large stack of books and binders out of the kid's hands, scattering books and loose papers everywhere. Laughter erupted from the crowd of idiots. Has this kid ever heard of a backpack? I saw my opportunity. It was time to set things in motion. I bet you get off by pushing little kids around, don't you? I spouted out with a laugh. Silence fell so immediately that it was comical. As Jake turned around, I could see the blood vein popping out of his temple. This kid had some anger problems. I don't think mommy ever told him no. Probably not.
We see that a lot.
Mm-hmm. Who the hell do you think you're talking to, new kid? Some idiot, I responded without delay. Jake was really about to lose it now. He pushed me into the locker and put his face so close to my face that I could smell his spearmint gum and nauseating cologne. I had just insulted him in front of his peers. Jake's primal instincts dictated that he had to ensure everyone saw him as the alpha male. Sure, Jake was taller, bigger, and stronger than I, but what he didn't know was that when it comes to fighting, I'm a ragtag, scrappy kid with fast hands. Also, I knew how to take a hit. When I was 8, my foster home taught me how to be tough the hard way. Jake might be brute, but I knew how to fight smart and dirty. You about to get it. I placed my left foot slightly behind my right heel and slammed my shoulder into his chest as I swiped his foot from underneath him. The thud as he hit the floor brought the shock to the growing crowd. To purposely add insult to injury, I chimed in with some commentary. Looks like your dad isn't the only one who beats you anymore. Oh.
Whoa, that got personal real quick.
Oh, you getting real crazy, sir. You getting real crazy.
Wow.
The statement may or may not have been true, but either way, the goal was to get in his head. Fighting is as much mental as it is physical. He got up and came bumbling my way, putting all of his weight behind a haymaker that I could have seen coming from 2 blocks away. I ducked as his fist flew over my head and landed right in a locker. This was too easy. His back was now turned toward me, and his body twisted, providing a perfect angle to go on the offensive. I gave him a powerful knee to the side, aimed precisely to give a blow to the kidney. Body shots should always be aimed at major organs. That's what causes the most pain. Noted. Thank you.
First of all, I
Uh,
don't even know where the organs are, though.
I feel
But I
like
think
your
this is your
stomach.
heart. Bah!
Your stomach is a good one. I feel like your heart right here in the middle, brow. Your stomach, just right above your belly button, your kidney and on the side.
I don't know.
I think it's on one of your sides. I don't know which side, but it's on
Ooh,
the side.
bah, bah.
Yeah, just bap, bap, boo, get it.
Yeah. My dad taught
Mhm.
me grab a handful of hair and run.
Dang, not run.
Mhm.
With the chunks in your hand.
He called it skull dragon.
Okay, Daddy Doja.
Yep.
All right. It's skull
That's
drag.
all I know about fighting.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I was rewarded with a grunt of pain as he dropped to a knee doubled over his side. I could have stopped there, but I hated this kid and needed him to hate me. With a quick and easy but powerful right hook, I delivered the final blow. His nose made a crunch under my fist, and I loved it. Satisfied, I picked up my backpack and carried on my way, leaving Jake lying on the ground with blood on his face, surrounded by a baffled audience. How gangsta is that?
Just
Like,
be
you
like,
just
bah.
wreck this kid and get your backpack, and you're just like, all right, we out.
And you go to 5th period.
And you
You're
just
like,
out.
learn,
Like,
and you learn some math.
that's kind of pimping. I kind of like that. I went ahead and walked straight to the administrative office, helping myself to a chair. The lady behind the desk had a nose that pointed upwards, displaying her nostrils to anyone and everyone. She reminded me of a pig. Can I help you? Mrs. Pig asked, with a high-pitched tone that stank of fake kindness. The principal is going to want to see me soon, I told her, with my legs crossed and hands behind my head. Oh, do you have an appointment? She asked. I don't understand why this lady feels the need to speak with such high pitch. It reminded me of nails on a chalkboard. No, I stumbled across a bullying incident, and long story short, I broke someone's nose. The amusing look on her face was somewhere between confused and shocked. I'll be right back, Mrs. Pig said, slowly as she got out of her chair. She disappeared into the back hallway and came out a couple minutes later, being trailed by a tall, trim man wearing a worn gray suit that was almost as old-fashioned as his ridiculous bushy gray mustache. In remarkably good timing, the glorified hall monitor, who was officially called hallway security, came walking in holding the arm of Jake. To my pleasure, Jake was gingerly holding a large wad of blood-soaked paper towels under his nose. There were several drops on his beloved Letterman's jacket. I hope it stains. Behind Jake and Mr. Hallway Monitor was the stuttering little kid who had nearly become Jake's chew toy that morning. I almost forgot about him. Stutters shot me with a grateful look, but he still remained panicked and terrified. He reminded me of a wide-eyed chihuahua who had been beaten too many times. He was pathetic. The remaining process took several hours. First, the principal and Mr. Hall Monitor interviewed me while Jake was working on getting his profusely bleeding nose under control. Afterwards, they interviewed Stutters, who backed up my story. Lastly, they interviewed Jake, who naturally claimed I sucker punched him.
Of course.
I mean, yeah, that's probably what he was
Yeah.
going to do,
Yeah.
punk.
Yeah, well, he's the popular kid, so he probably does no wrong.
Mhm,
They
mhm,
probably called mommy and daddy, and they were like,
mhm,
hey.
to bail him out.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm. After that, I was forced to call my foster parent, Dean. And now he sat beside me as the principal explained my suspension. Dean wasn't having any of that though. Lucky for me, he was a lawyer. Not a big-time fancy corporate lawyer. He was a public defender for the city. Still, his skills would prove useful. His arrival marked the beginning of a long argument in which Dean laid out the legality of self-defense and ranted about anti-bullying. The school's administration refused to show any documentation concerning previous complaints concerning Jake's bullying, which likely meant it did indeed exist and the school needed to cover up the inaction. After Dean threatened to file a lawsuit and go public with it, the principal actually backed down. I was surprised. I had never had a foster parent go to bat for me. Maybe Dean could prove useful after all. Of course, he didn't really do it for me. Dean was nice enough, but I could see that he was only on board with the foster parent thing to appease his wife, Sarah. I'm assuming that they tried for years to have a child of their own, but for whatever medical reason, they were unable. Why or how they ended up with a teenage foster child was beyond me. Sarah was the single most generous foster parent I have ever had, and she had a pathetic need to be loved and needed. I don't share this need, but frankly, my current foster situation is pretty good, and I like this part of town they live in. It's off toward the end of a suburban part of the city, and the woods were nearby. The woods provided me with plenty of quiet places to visit. For this reason, I would play into Sarah's needs for as long as necessary. It was easy to turn on the grateful orphan persona and allow Sarah to feel needed. In return, I'll be provided with as cushy as a life as a foster kid can get.
And you only got 1 year left. Like, you only have 1 year left in the
two,
system.
because it's his junior year. So,
oh, that's true. Okay. Yeah.
Dean and I were now alone in the parking lot. As he reached to open his car door, he stopped and looked at me. Listen, Rich. Oh my God, here comes the emotional talk about how he understands that I'm going through a tough time, yada, yada. I just wanted to let you know that I'm impressed with what you did, standing up for that kid that was being bullied. So, let's just not tell Sarah about this, okay? Sounds good. Thanks, Dean. He looked like he was about to give me an awkward hug, but thankfully he settled with a slightly less awkward fist bump. Imagine yeah, pound it.
Hey, kid that I just
Great
met.
job. And you fought that bully.
Yeah, but let's don't tell my wife.
Apparently, he was touched by my bold display of anti-bullying, saving stutters from the big meanie. Honestly, my actions had nothing to do with defending that spineless shrimp. I don't give two shits about him. I did it because I hated Jake, and Stutters gave me the golden opportunity that I couldn't waste. Ooh, wow.
That's what I was thinking, is like he saw the opportunity to get his licks in. He didn't care how it came. Yeah.
The rest of the day was dismal and ordinary. Classes were easy for me. I didn't do most of my homework, but managed B's and sometimes A's simply by getting good scores on tests. My motivation depended on the class. Math was easy but boring. My reading teacher was a true moron who loved overanalyzing worthless poetry, but my psychology class was actually interesting and useful. At this point, I had already read the entire psych textbook and continued to research on my own. It was helpful. It was helping me to understand more about myself. I had been reading about personality disorders, and I saw a lot of myself in the section about psychopathy and antisocial behavior. At this point, I wondered to myself if I was a psychopath. It didn't bother me one bit. It just made sense.
But I feel like he's giving a lot more sociopath. Like, where you can't, like, he doesn't seem to have feelings for anybody.
Yeah.
But he's not like a psychopath, has like very charismatic and can like really charm people and like gets people in and like is good with people. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's like, I don't want to be bothered. Don't talk to me. I don't like people.
Yeah. You all suck.
He's giving, he's giving more sociopath.
Psychopathy is, I hope I'm saying that right. Psychopathy or pathy? I don't know. Psychopathy. Look, I'm sorry. It's the end of the school year. My brain is literally muddled. Just don't judge me, okay? Leave me alone.
Okay.
Psychopathy is categorized by many things, including the inability to feel empathy. This is where I felt uncertain. There was one person, only one, who I've ever truly felt empathy for, Addie. Addie was once my foster sister, but we had been separated when I was 8. I'm not sure if I have the inability to feel empathy for another, or I simply learned not to after losing Addie. As I was walking home, after only a 25-minute walk, I turned down the back road right next to the woods. Houses were scarce on this road, nice, quiet, and out of sight. About 10 minutes into my walk, I realized I was being followed by a maroon Mustang convertible. The car pulled up, and out clambered Jake and 3 of his minions. A group of idiots who followed Jake like little neglected dogs, hoping to get a compliment and some positive attention. I can fight for sure, but I'm not stupid either. I was outnumbered 4-1, so I turned and ran for the wood line. I'll admit, these kids were fast. I quickly realized that I wouldn't be able to outrun them for too long. So I said, hell with it. I'm more about fight than flight anyway. I ducked behind some thick brush and gathered a hefty but manageable log. If I'm going down, I'm going down swinging.
Heck yeah.
I mean, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
The footsteps were arriving quickly, so I swung my log right as victim number 1 came around the corner. The log connected so hard to his blocky head that it broke in half. Unfortunately, the log was useless now, but the damage had been done, and victim number 1 hit the ground hard. I gave victim number 2 a hard front kick straight to the chest. He grunted as the air escaped his lungs, and he landed on his back with his feet in the air. King Leonidas would be proud. I don't know who that is. Who is King
Me
Leonidas?
neither.
Who is King?
I know the Kings of Leon's a band.
Let's see. King Leon. Okay. King Leonidas. He is he was the king of a Greek city-state of Sparta and the 17th of the Aegeid line, a dynasty which claimed descent from mystical demigod Hercules.
Oh.
Okay. I don't know why he would be proud, but you shout out to him. If anybody knows who this man is, let us know. Cool.
I feel like he'd be in that movie, Sparta.
Yeah. Maybe that's the one who kicked him into the thing. Maybe that's him. It could be.
Yeah.
I dodged the third guy, a fat but strong kid who only knew how to bull rush. That's when a hard rock connected with my temple. I was on the ground now, and I didn't recall the fall. I was getting kicked repeatedly. A blow to my gut knocked the wind out of me, but I grabbed his foot and pulled, putting all my weight into his knee. Whoever that knee belonged to shouted in pain. I probably just hyperextended his knee. The rock hit me again, this time in the nose. I was dazed now, but I could see Jake standing over me with a decent-sized stone. Jake is crazy.
Yeah.
Jake is not.
Like, I'm just going to, like, beat this kid with a rock in the middle of the woods.
Like, Jake need help. All because you got beat up.
Yeah, because you embarrassed.
Like, come on now. All right, let's stop this before it gets too out of hand, someone said. I think it was victim number 2. Shut the hell up, Bryan, Jake snapped back. I am not done. Another 2 kicks hit me hard in the ribs. Okay, seriously, Jake, I think that's enough. Quit being a pussy. Another 2 kicks found that I just didn't want to say it too loud.
Yeah.
Another 2 kicks found their home in my stomach as I struggled to get air in my lungs. Kick him, Bryan, Jake ordered. Come on, man. He's already almost unconscious, objected Bryan. I said kick him, Jake ordered again, looking threatening with the rock still in his hand.
I would have been like, eh.
I would have been like, I did it. I kicked him.
I kicked him. Let's go home now.
Right? I bet you like being his little bitch. Don't you, Bryan? That sentence flew out of my mouth before I could stop it. I always knew what to say if I wanted to hurt someone. That statement was the last push Bryan needed, and his shoe connected hard with my head. Oh, not your head.
Yeah. Maybe you should have just stayed quiet there, buddy.
Well, we're going to get there.
Okay.
My vision was now covered with black dots. Through my blurry vision, I saw Jake lean down. You're messing with the wrong person, Rich. You'd best find yourself a new foster home before I make your life so miserable you'll want to kill yourself. Not that anyone would care. He stood up, gave me one last kick, and then ordered his brainless minions to go back to the car. I watched them leave, one kid heavily limping, victim number 1 just as dazed as I was. At least I did some damage. Despite the pain in my head and ribs, I laughed. Jake may have won the battle, but I knew that I would win the war. I knew that I'd have the last laugh. Jake had no idea what I was capable of. My limits are beyond the sky. I always win.
It's given like school incident.
It's given somebody need to look out for this boy because he crazy.
Yeah.
What do you mean I always win?
It's giving school incidences that we discuss on the podcast.
Some later time, I made it home. As I walked through the door trying to act natural, it was immediately apparent how haggard I must have looked. Sarah gasped and rushed in to guide me to the couch, demanding to know what happened. There was no way to hide from this now. I might as well tell her the truth. Dean would understand. Sarah
he's covered in blood.
I mean,
how are you gonna?
And he limping.
Oh, I fell. No, you didn't.
Right? Like, come on now.
Yeah.
Sarah called Dean, who dutifully came straight home to support his distraught wife. Sarah was choking back tears as she explained to Dean how I had been jumped. She threatened to call the police and to take me to the hospital, to which I objected. I did not need the police to get involved with my war with Jake. If the system finds out about this, they might make me move to a new home. I don't want to move again, I pleaded to Sarah, playing into her emotional state. I think he's right, Sarah, Dean chimed in. Those boys can feel like they're even now, so there is no need to take any unnecessary risks. You know how the system is. Dean had come in clutch again. This guy was proving himself more useful every moment. Sarah nodded in reluctant agreement. It was never just too easy to get her to change her mind. But you're not going to school tomorrow, she demanded. You're going to stay home so I can take care of you and make sure you're okay. I reminded myself of how I need to play into Sarah's need to be needed, so I agreed. For good measure, I gently touched her hand and told her thanks. She allowed a tear to escape after that move. Something was wrong with Sarah. I could see it in her eyes. At some point, she had a traumatic experience that hurt her deeply. I woke up late Friday morning to Sarah bringing in fresh breakfast, bacon, eggs, and pancakes. Yum, yum.
Ooh, okay.
I love that. I hope they cheese eggs. I love
All
some
right,
cheese
Sarah.
eggs. My ribs twinged in pain as I sat up and my head pounded too. Sarah was on top of that, though, offering me 800 milligrams of ibuprofen to be downed with some orange juice and a cup of fresh coffee. This treatment was another display that I was not used to. Never had anybody brought me breakfast in bed. After assuring Sarah that the breakfast was wonderful, I told her I was going to rest. After she left, I pulled out the computer that I had purchased with the money I stole from my last foster family.
Okay, so we're a thief?
He's a thief, he's a thief, he's a really, really thief.
Because, like, I don't know how real this actually is, but, like, TV shows, there was one show, I cannot remember the name of it, and it's like foster kids are called, like, the trash bag kids because they have to fit everything that they
Yes.
own into, like, a trash bag, and, like, that yeah. So I was like, wonder how he put the laptop in the trash bag.
I mean, maybe just throw it in there.
Yeah.
I was pretty good with computers. They were useful and underrated tools that most teens just use to stir drama on social media and post stupid fake photos. People are so oblivious to how exposed their personal information is. It took me less than 2 hours to know everything about Jake and Bryan that I needed to know. I had his address, his phone number, and learned the fact that the family was on a trip to their lake house for the weekend, about a 5-hour drive away. Probably his parents attempted to draw attention away from his school suspension. Rich people in the suburbs are all about image. That night, after Sarah and Dean were long asleep, I got ready. The house had a security system that monitored and logged every time a door or window opened or shut. They probably did it because they knew I was moving in. It wasn't a problem, though. I easily detached the device without breaking the magnetic seal. Actually, it was perfect. The security system logs would provide me a good alibi should anything go wrong. I exited the house through the window and stepped off on the pre-planned route that would most likely take me through the wooded area and out of sight. I enjoyed the woods at night anyway. It was so quiet and peaceful. It took me 30 minutes to arrive at my destination. Jake's house was huge and sat on a lot that must have been an acre or more. I searched through the property near the back door, expecting to find a spare key somewhere. They weren't dumb enough to keep the key under a doormat, but they didn't hide it very well either. The rock looked convincing at first sight, but when I looked at it up close, I could tell it was fake. I carefully lifted the rock and found a little compartment underneath containing a key. Just like that, I had gained access to the house. Although the house was large and immaculate, it didn't take me long to find the room I was looking for. Jake had a life-size football poster of himself on his door.
Oh my God.
He's so
of course
annoying.
he did.
He's so
Of course he did.
Why did you purchase that? Why did your parents let you buy that?
Mm-hmm.
No.
And at 30 years old, he still has it.
Probably.
Yeah.
His room was huge, the size of a small apartment. I carefully searched for anything that would be of use. On his shelf, designated for keepsakes, I found an old but expensive-looking sheathed knife. The knife had someone's initials engraved on it, signaling that it may be a fairly heirloom of some sorts. I picked it up with my gloved hands and pocketed it. Jake didn't seem too worried about his parents snooping through his stuff. His computer wasn't even password protected. Thanks to Jake's carelessness, I now had access to all of his personal information, including social media and his chat messages that were backed up to the cloud. This was a gold mine where I would get all the information I needed. I sat down and went to work. You can learn a lot about someone's life by going through their text messages and photos. I found out that Jake and his friends had a certain spot in the woods where they would meet up to drink alcohol and smoke weed. Thanks to the photos being geotagged, I now knew exactly where that spot was. Most importantly, I learned that Jake had pestered just about every girl in school for nudes. If they had rejected him, he then pressured and insulted the girls. When I came across his conversation with Bryan, I found my lucky break. Jake had tested his luck with a girl Bryan was dating. When she refused his requests, Jake called her a whore. After Bryan had found out, he finally stood up for himself, and the messages showed that they had quite an argument. They were not currently on talking terms, and Jake made it clear that he would not speak to Bryan and would ruin his popularity. This was perfect. I now had the perfect plan. I saw that Jake and his family would be home Sunday afternoon. Bryan's status showed currently active, so I sent him a message through Jake's social media, asking him to meet me at the spot Sunday night at midnight. After Bryan replied with one letter K, I deleted the messages so Jake would not see them on his end. On my way out, I stole a hoodie, some pants, and an extra pair of gym shoes. I made sure to grab some stuff from the back of the shelves to ensure their absence wouldn't be noticed. I took one last look around to feel secure that I left no noticeable trace. After locking the door and carefully putting the key back where I had found it, I went back home the same way I had came, undetected. Saturday and Sunday, I continued to allow Sarah to look after me. It made her feel good, and I needed her to think that I needed her so I could continue living here. Finally, Sunday night had arrived. I put on the clothes I had stole from Jake and headed on my way. I waited in the shadows for Bryan to arrive, and at about 12:05, I heard footsteps approaching. "What do you want, Jake?" Bryan stated as he entered the small clearing. "We have school tomorrow." Before he can finish, I hit him hard in the face with a rock, Jake's signature move.
Damn.
Bryan fell to the ground, putting his hands on his face as if that would somehow dull the pain. I didn't care. I kicked him in his head and in his gut over and over. I watched with pleasure as he rolled around in agony, betrayed and incapacitated.
But he's in Jake's clothes.
What the hell,
Okay.
Jake? "Oh, I'm not Jake," I said coldly. Bryan squinted up at the sound of my voice, shocked. He stammered a few disconnected words, trying to catch his breath through the pain. I knelt beside him. What do you want?" Bryan managed to muster between heavy breaths. "Revenge." Looking Bryan straight in the eye, I plunged Jake's knife straight into Bryan's torso, stabbing right into the liver. I was rewarded with an agonizing groan from Bryan. And to get rid of Jake. Another stab, this time to the side, making sure I got his kidney. "It's not really about you." Another stab, another moan. "You're just on the wrong side of this war and a convenient means to an end." Drawing the detachable thrill of the moment, I thrust the knife deeper and listened to Bryan's agonizing moans and shortening breath. I stared into his eyes so I could see the look on his face as he realized he was about to die. "And you really truly shouldn't have kicked me." I gave him another hard stab. This
Poor
one,
Bryan. Like, he literally just was friends with the wrong person.
but he kicked him and he said, "You really truly should not kick me. Like, if you wouldn't have done this, you wouldn't have been in this predicament," is what he is saying, essentially. I gave him another hard stab. This one I placed just under his left pectoral. The blade slid right between his ribs, piercing his heart. I pulled out the knife as blood sputtered out of the wound like a fountain. I sat back to admire my handiwork. Bryan's breath gurgled and rasped in the silent woods. I realized the attack looked way too clean. Everything was too precise. I needed this to look like a stupid brute had lost his temper. I gave a dozen or so more wildly placed stab wounds, ranging in depth. That looked better. In less than a minute, the groans and breathing stopped. Bryan lay there, or his body did at least, covered in blood. I dragged Bryan's body and hid it in some thick brush where I covered him in branches and leaves. I took my time to make sure it looked sloppy and hasty. I hid the knife about 100 feet away, knowing full well the police would scour the area to find it. I took off the hoodie, sweatpants, and shoes and deposited them in the park garbage bin that was just a yard away from the wood line, about a half a mile away from the scene. I had worn long layers underneath Jake's clothes and made care to never touch his clothes with my skin. I even wore a swimming cap to make sure my hair didn't get anywhere. The only evidence left that could be tied to me to the crime was a pair of latex gloves that I had worn to avoid getting fingerprints on the knife or blood under my fingernails. I made it back home with the same stealth I had used the previous night. I quickly went to the bathroom where I soaked the latex gloves in bleach, scrubbing until they were spotless. After flushing the toilet to make sure Dean and Sarah would believe I was just taking a bathroom break, I used a little bit more bleach to vigorously wash my hands, and then topped off the bottle with some water so it wouldn't seem that any had been used. Finally, it was bedtime and I was exhausted. Murder is hard work.
Dude, he like planned this out.
He was not playing. He really did not like Jake.
Like he wore long johns under all that. He
Made sure the skin didn't.
cap.
Yeah, he was thinking smart. He was thinking smart.
Wow.
It seemed like only a couple of minutes later when my alarm went off. I hurried to the bathroom and took one more hard look to make sure the gloves and cleaning supplies were in their proper places. I then took a scorching hot shower, scrubbing every part of my body with vigor just in case. I then relaxed and used the rest of my time to reflect on the kill. Sarah insisted on taking me to school, seeing as I had been jumped just last week. In my reflection, I found it interesting that I felt enjoyment out of the kill this time. I didn't recall the same satisfaction from my first kill.
Whoa, sir. What?
Maybe that's because that was the day I lost Addie, the foster sister.
Did he kill Addie?
I was 8 years old and finally understood what my alcoholic foster father was doing when he was going into my sister's room and locking the door. Addie was only 6. One night when he was drunk, I put his revolver in his mouth and pulled the trigger. The police ruled it as a suicide. I hadn't seen Addie since because we were sent to new homes that day. She was the one and only person I ever remembered feeling love for.
Okay. Killing is not okay. First of all, killing is not okay.
Mm-hmm. However,
this was a very bad man.
Very bad man.
And he was doing very bad things to a child.
Very bad things.
Now, should this have been taken into his own hands? No.
Mm-hmm.
But is there a man sitting on death row right now who just had his final appeal? And they were like, is there anything you want to say? And he was like, no. And they were like, so you're still gonna go, like, you're still saying you did it? He goes, I did do it. I killed a child molester.
Mm-hmm.
He said, and I don't feel bad for it. I'll do it again. You know what I mean? Like, so I saw that on TikTok.
Wow.
Just like, killing is not okay.
Yes.
But bad people deserve bad things to happen to them. Yeah.
Karma.
Yeah.
It's just straight up karma.
Yeah.
School started the same, business as usual. By the second period, the Gossip News Network was buzzing with the news that Bryan's parents had reported him missing. By lunch, it was common knowledge. The best part happened just as school was getting out. I could see and hear the commotion from down the main hall. I walked over, peering over the crowd of idiots, all trying to get a good video on their flip phones. 3 police were forcing out a handcuffed and panicked Jake. He protested and resisted, but the police overpowered him and forced him into the car. By the 6 o'clock local news, it was the headliner story. Breaking news. Jacob Pearson, a local high school athlete charged with the murder of classroom Bryan Jones.
Mm.
I had a hard time holding back my satisfactory smile, but Dean and Sarah were in the room. I already had Sarah wrapped around my finger, but for good measures, I told her that Jake was the kid that attacked me. I put on my best scared orphan face during the newscast. That could have been me who got killed, I told her, forcing myself to sound scared. Her heart melted, and I received instant sympathy as she pulled me into a tearful hug. Dean, being a public defender, was in the know. He, also believing I was scared, offered me some comfort. It'll be tough to defend this one, he assured me. Jake will be going away for a long time. I mean, the prosecutors have everything: the body, the weapon, fingerprints, even motive. It's like someone handed the AG this case on a silver platter. Indeed, I had. It was the next day that
Wow.
Sarah and Dean sat me down and told me that they wanted me to push forward. They wanted to push forward with adopting me. I had gained their trust and, most importantly, their sympathy. I'd now be able to live in this cushy home with the pushover parents until college. Even then, they'd probably send me money and give me a place to stay in the summer. They were good-natured idiots, but useful idiots.
So like he is okay. So he's using them. Like he doesn't like these people.
Yeah,
He
he's
doesn't
literally
care
just using
about
them.
Sarah and yeah. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. What a success my first month in my new home had been. I locked in my preferred living situation and got rid of the only problem with my neighborhood, Jake. The best part is, Jake hung himself in jail before the trial had even started.
Oh my God.
What? What?
And then there's gonna be people on that side that are like, oh, only a guilty person would have done that.
Yup. The police called it good, certain that Jake was their man and the case was closed. I still laugh when I think back to when Jake told me that he'd make me want to kill himself. Like I said, I always win. And that's where the manuscript stops. So
Oh
clearly,
my
after
God.
Mr. S received this, he wasn't sure if this was true or not. So he went on to, he was previously a private investigator, went and did some research, and he did
I'm gonna Google
find,
these names.
yeah,
Yeah.
and he found that this story, at a minimum, was based on real events. He had found articles about Jacob Pearson, the promising high school student who threw his life away and, murdered a student. But the question really is now, is this the true story of a psychopath named Rich or a simple fabrication of real events?
Oh, could a really weird kid have taken this and made it his own story?
Yeah, like maybe just did his own research and then knew that Mr. S was like doing
Because
his
there are some people like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
There's some
yeah,
creepy
yeah, yeah.
people like
There's
that.
some creepy
I mean,
people.
look at all the people that they look at the serial killers that
Mhm.
admit to murders that they didn't even
Yes,
commit.
just so they could be involved. Yeah,
Wow.
man. What'd you think of that? That was crazy, right?
Ah,
That was crazy, right?
yeah. I don't know. Did he do it?
I mean, we'll never know because that was a creepypasta. I feel
That
I
was so
I feel like I
good.
did really good just, laying out everything. Cause it seemed pretty believable, It seemed
It does.
pretty
I bet there is people that send people their manuscripts.
right? But I really do wanna know, like,
I wanna know what the author might be some deep, demented person to write something like that.
so the author was, hold on, let me pull it up. Let me go all the way to the top because child, it's really hard to copy and paste something from creepypasta. I couldn't do it.
Mhm.
Child, it was so I had it up on my phone and then I was trying to type it and I was like, we just not gonna do this. But the author of this story is R.M. Staniforth, and the rating for this story was 8.98 out of 10.
Okay. I definitely liked this
Mhm.
story. Like as
But
I am a
it
little
was
bit morbid, but
entertaining.
like it was yes. I
And you were
mean, you
like,
were even
dang.
stopping. You were like, my facial expressions were like,
Because it was crazy just how little things like, oh, Addie, yeah, my first. I didn't feel like this my first kill. What you mean the first one, sir? What you mean you did this before? Again.
Yeah. Okay. I would even go with a 9. I would say this
It
one
was pretty
deserves a
good.
9
It was
for
pretty
sure.
good.
Yeah.
It was pretty good because I was trying to find one that wouldn't be so unbelievable from the jump. You know what I mean? So I've been
Yeah.
searching a while for my creepypasta.
But it sounds like, remember those like 3 best friends and 2 of the girls killed that other girl in the woods?
Yes.
And then they lied about it and were like comforting the family?
Yes. What was her name?
Very
Was it
similar to that.
Was her name Skylar Niece?
Oh.
No, I think that's wrong.
Yes.
Was it?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, that joint was crazy.
Oh my gosh.
Mhm. Yeah.
So that's why I was like, this could be like, this is believable. Because we've covered cases like that.
But not like a whole sending in a manuscript and just. But then what's crazy is like, say hypothetically this was real. So you're sending him this manuscript, right? And he said, my days are coming to an end. So he's got to be like dying or something like that. But your name was in there. Like his name was Rich.
Yeah. So why did you, if it were me, first of all, I ain't gonna kill nobody. But if it were me, I would be making some names up. Like, I mean, I can still confess.
Yeah, but you can research and see Jake Pearson and, Bryan Jones. You could find all that information. So, but even if you change the names, I feel like it's still easy for you to find like a high school kid who had killed a classroom, hung himself in jail. Like that's easily connectable. You know what I mean? So,
searchable.
Yeah. Yeah, I was very proud of that creepypasta. I was very proud of it.
Wow.
I was very proud.
You did good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I was really wanting you to put a little bow on it.
I was just trying to deliver it in a way that we would normally deliver a Teachers Talk Crime episode.
Yeah.
So whatever you come out with yours, girl, I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to see what you do with that.
Okay. They're only going to get better and better.
Yeah.
They're only going to get better and better. Yeah.
Yeah. So there you have it.
All right.
Brantisha's first creepypasta.
You did good. I like that.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I got school tomorrow because
you do.
Still got 4 days left. So, and tomorrow's our field day. So,
ooh.
Yeah, it's kind of like a wash as a day, but it's a lot because it's an all-day thing. I'm not entirely looking forward to it because I think the weather is going to be pretty brutal tomorrow. And I know typically on days like that, teachers wear shorts. I am not confident in wearing shorts to my building because I know how I am shaped and I know how my thighs work. And
leggings.
So I'll probably be miserable in the sun. I will have my neck fans because you will not catch me slipping. And I will have my 64-ounce filled with ice and water to maximize my hydration tomorrow. So
you should.
Yeah, I'm going to.
Tomorrow is our, mine and James's 1-year anniversary.
Oh my God. It's our anniversary. That's so exciting.
Yeah.
Well, look what a year will do. Look at that.
I know.
Look at that.
So, yeah.
Okay, well, enjoy. Y'all got any plans for tomorrow?
Nope.
Okay.
It's on Monday.
Oh, hey, but you ain't got work,
Yeah, that's true.
You ain't got no work. I mean, James got work, if he's going,
Yeah. Yeah, all right.
Go out and get some barbecue,
Yeah.
Maybe you'll see that lady with her expensive stuff again.
With her ring.
Yeah. Maybe you'll spot her.
I mean, you could a mile away. Ridiculous.
That's crazy.
Okay. Well,
as always,
enjoy your field day.
Oh, thanks, girl. I'm doing my best.
Yeah.
But as always, the bell don't dismiss you.
We do.
So we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.